Okay, we're talking about Joe Cell, Joe Cell technology. This is part of the Occult Aether physics alternative energy playlist. Alternative energy, Occult Aether physics. That's what I call it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about right now on this video. So if you're not interested in this stuff, just tune it out. It's okay. You don't have to watch. But for you people that are, I've talked about the Joe Cell before, and Viktor Grebennikov and all those guys, all those people that just reached into the next, I don't want to say dimension, but into outside of this field. They were able to accomplish it, whether they intended or it just came by coincidence. I'm going to tell you a little story about. Okay, I've been cutting my grass lately. I used to get people to cut the lawn. It doesn't need a lot of cutting. Every week and a half I cut it, but that's besides the point. But I went to. This is the third time that I cut the grass. The first time I filled up the gas tank this is the same lawnmower that, if you remember my other Joe Cell videos, I talked about the lawnmower that's running without anything, without Joe Cell or anything like that. Maybe the Joe Cell that I got in the basement is running it. You don't know. I had put like a half a gas, filled up the gas tank halfway, and then I cut the grass, and then the next time there was still some gas in the for some reason it looks wet, the gas can, the tank for the lawnmower. So what I did, I put a little bit of fuel the second time into the and press the bulb enough to get it started. Yesterday, or a couple days before that I did the lawn, this is the third time that I've cut it. Usually I gotta fill up the tank every 2 times that I cut the grass. I didn't put any gas in it. Rather, I pressed the bulb a couple times. It almost wanted to kick in, and pressed the bulb a couple more times, and it kicked in. Started it up just like any other time. For some reason, I remember the lawnmower being real quiet before, but now it's kind of noisy like the other ones. But for a while there, it was like super quiet. You could hardly hear it running. I don't know why. Now, it's making as much noise as before. It does have a little bit of a crank noise, just a little bit. But I've had that for maybe the last 5 years that I used the lawnmower, and I haven't been using it because I had people cut the grass for the last 3-4 years or so. And I took over that because I just, the lawn looks like crap, and I just wanted to bring it back, make it look better, and doing the work myself. Now that my mom is gone, I got, I don't have much to do, so it's one of the chores. Anyways, that's totally besides the point. So I go start it. I start the lawnmower, and it starts up fine. Check the gas can, the tank, to see how much fuel I got to finish off cutting the grass, and I noticed that it's down to 0 again. And this happened a few years back. It's like, what is it running on? The tank is empty. There's no gas in there. It cranks up. I mean, you can see that there's no fuel going into the little screen, but it's the whole car. The whole tank is wet. I don't know why. I mean, it's been really hot lately. So usually when it's hot, the fuel just kind of evaporates faster, and but it's wet. Like if somebody's been swishing that fuel around, it's kind of weird. It's almost like if it was an oil tank. That the sides and everything are wet, and it shouldn't be. All right. As the fuel is consumed, everything just gets dry, especially a lawnmower, with the heat and evaporation, it's going to get dry real quick. So I did my grass. I go, wow. I stopped it a couple of times, actually. Cranked it right up, and boom, it started like if it had a full tank of gas. Now, could it be that Joe Cell is transmitting something to that machine? Now, the thing I notice about the Joe Cells is that, if anything, I tend to think, for some reason, older engines that have been around a long time may work better than... This is an old lawnmower. I've had it maybe 25 years. And somehow it's still looking really good. For some reason, I thought that it was broken, and that's why I haven't used it in a long time. But I got it out because the other lawnmower that I had, the head was... the spark plug was... somebody's... I did loan it out a couple times. And somehow the spark plug was not in, so it was stripped. So I've been waiting for the head, and anyways, that's besides the story. There was a new lawnmower. It always the old one just seems to be like something smooth about it. Could it be like Joe did, the Joe Cell fame? Could it be that the magnetism gets to align itself after so many years? For instance, you get something from the factory, new parts. They all come from all kinds of manufacture under the magnetism, that I'm talking about. How Joe, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you get everything to align properly. That's what you got to do in the cell. Be careful with the crank on the car. And you may lock it up. You may weld the crank, basically. It's just a fast, thing that you do. Just don't hold it. That part, if you don't know about it, maybe I should talk about that some other time. But it's an important part to align everything perfectly. And that's how you do it. And I tend to think that older engines tend to have... they're smoother. They flow better. Newer engines, newer equipment, it's always like... it's tight, And people say it needs to loosen up. And we think that it's, things grinding together. But it could be the magnetism. It has to adjust itself. And that takes time. Cycles, turning on and off, on and off, on and off. Every time you do it, it starts aligning itself more. The machine I'm talking about, and the Joe Cell starts aligning better. So, getting back to the lawnmower, I know this is kind of like a little, but it's something that I ran into it again. It's like, it's phenomenal. That's why I don't say where I'm at or anything, because it gets stolen, and people will tinker with it and just mess it up. I want to leave it. I just don't want to. I know it has a problem with the crank, a little knocking noise, but it's not bad right now. If I take it apart, I may lose that frequency and never get it back. I'm just gonna leave it as is. It's okay. It's running okay. It cuts the grass. It does its job. And sometimes it's better just to. I kind of think, if governments or people run into stuff like this, they're gonna go in there with their minds of physical. Their schooling. They've gone to the universities and all that. Train one way. Once you start dismantling the whatever it may be, a UFO, whatever it is, you're gonna screw it up, right? You're gonna screw it up because you have no idea of how these things work. And I'm not saying that I know how a UFO works, but I have a pretty good idea how they fly and so forth. But it's nothing that the world can make. It's nothing that the world can give you. They can imitate a lot of stuff, but it's not going to be perfect. So, getting back to the Joe Cell, I just wanted to talk about basically this lawnmower that I have. It's just, and even though it's been pretty hot. It's been in the 90s and 95s or so where I'm at. Time was that it was working better when it was cold, in cold weather. It seemed to be, in other words, when it got hot, I had to put fuel because it would not start. Now it seems to start even in hot weather. And I don't know, maybe in cold weather, it might just keep running permanently. I probably won't have to shut it down. And you got to understand, too, that some of these things, it's like they're here, but they're not really here. You're not going to wear that motor down. You can probably connect a generator, an alternator or something, and hook it up to your house and get free electricity and just leave that engine running forever. Like I say, if you've ever seen pictures or images of these huge monster machines that run boats and ships, they shut them up. They shut them down, but they tell you, without really knowing what's going on. The engine, they shut it off, but the engine continues to, the pistons continue to move slowly. Up and down, up and down. They say that it's, the machine cooling down and this and that. No, I don't think so. There's a video on YouTube. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I want to show you guys. By the way, this is, I found the Alex Schiffer. Okay. Let's talk about the Joe Cell. The three stages of the Joe Cell. I think this is where people went kind of wrong. They see the bubbling and they think that it's a hydrogen that's going to run the car, and it's not the gas. It's not the hydrogen. No, it's not the hydrogen, guys. It's not that. It's another form of energy that is piped into the car. It is not gas. It's just, I don't know. It's like piping electricity, sort of speak. Piping plasma. How's that? Plasma is the nearest thing that you can call, God, the God guy that's making everything, and you are able to pipe this into your motor. It's sort of like make the cell communicate with the engine. It's like a communicator. A fellow here in the left a comment that he wants to out in the desert. I wonder if you leave a comment. Which desert are you talking about? He wants to make it green. And I have some ideas about that. I've thought about that a long time ago. And knowing something about the Joe Cell, that it's really kind of like the Tesla that tower in New Jersey. What's it called? The shit, what's the name? I forget. Tesla built his tower in New Jersey, and he was going to transmit. It's right there. He was going to transmit power to the world, basically using this tower, and he could have, but as you all know, if you don't know, J.P. Morgan got in the way and said that I can't put a meter on it, so we can't go on with it. So they tore it down. But it's the Joe Cell may just be like a transmission tower. Could it be that somehow I made the Joe Cell interact with maybe I was playing with the Joe Cell and then I did the lawn. I used to play around with it maybe 10, 15 years ago quite a bit. And that's when I used to use that lawnmower. Did I transmit some kind of a connection between the two? I still have my cell downstairs. One of these days I'll put it on. It's kind of hard to video stuff because it looks like crap when I'm not a good filmer, but maybe I'll put it on some kind of camera that stands still and you can see it. But this fellow Alex Schiffer, he came he came out with the 3 stages of this Joe Cell, and I think people just kind of just went off and in another direction, thinking that it's the gas that's running. It's the same thing with the water car of that fellow that they killed off because he was working on this stuff. I forget his name. He made a car that worked on kind of like the Joe Cell stuff. Was it the water? Was it the hydrogen? I don't think so. I think it was some kind of an energy that's transmitted into the engine to tell the engine to run. And I think that you're really dealing with magic. Because it is magic, It's what's going on with my lawnmower? What did I do? It's not supposed. With all known physics, it's not supposed to do that. But we all know about carburetors that have, people would hook up the rear tailpipe of their Model Ts and run on it all day and all night, going all over the place without putting gas in the car. You hear stories and stories and stories about stuff like this all the time. And, I'm over, I don't know, I'm on like 70 years old or so. And I've heard these stories over and over and from people that have no knowledge of alternative energies or anything like that. But, that fellow, and let me know which desert. Who knows, maybe we'll work something out. I think that deserts that would be wonderful, to green out actually, I'd like to go someplace like that and just green it out and make it a nice place to live. Just the deserts are so hot. I've been out there, and it's like I can't take it. I really can't. I'm too old for that. So I was gonna show you. What was I gonna show you? I want you to watch this video, guys. I just watched it. Yeah. Toyota engine refuses to die. Toyota. Look at this. Okay. Okay, so this stuff goes on. I mean, here's an engine. Yeah, check it. Check out. It's a short video. Toyota engine refuses to die. Here's some. I don't want to blame these guys, in that shop for scrapping this thing. Take it and put it on on a bench, on a stand, and just observe it. Why? I don't think it's a trick. I don't think it's a trick. I think it's somebody actually filmed this engine running, and these things happen all the time. It's just that we're so. I mean, these guys are, they just found a treasure. Now cherish it, put it on a bench someplace, and just watch it and sit back and think. I wonder what they did with that engine. Most likely they go, I don't know what's going on. It's probably got gas inside and it's running. We better smash it up or whatever, and the thing just continues. Sort of like you ever see like people cutting up fish? They cut off the head, they cut off the tail, they cut off the meat, and the thing, it's probably pretty sickening, but it's still moving. The thing is still moving. No head, no head, no tail, no nothing, and the meat is snakes. How snakes, they chop off the head, whatever, chop it up in half, and it still has that sense of attacking. How does it know that the person is there without any eyes or anything? How does it sense it? There's something else going on, and that's what we have to look at. You look at something, okay, that was weird. Think about it, because you just ran into a freaking treasure. We all run into these things all the time, and that's why something like the Joe Cell just it amazes me. I believe him. By the way,
and everything else, we had a whole table. When you tape, the whole thing is magnetic. Hope it's very easily discharged. People's bodies can discharge it very easily if they've got the right feels in it. We had the whole table magnetic, attractive, and everything. Lock anything on it strong. This guy will walk in there and he goes, he's flanking the table and she's got gold. Gold and everything else, non-magnetic, attractive. So how they have these metal detectors, okay? They set up steel and everything else, a metal detection, and it will pick up, anything magnetic. So aren't they doing now?
I could watch this all day long. That's Joe. That's Joe. I'd love to meet him sometime. It's like I understand a lot of this stuff, but the weird thing is that I experimented with all this stuff, and I never really, with the exception of a couple times, I only hooked them up to a car, one or two cars before. One of them is that Geo Tracker that I have, which is kind of like the Suzuki. It's pretty much resembles the Suzuki. What's that called? The Samurai that Joe used to talk about, and leads me into what I wanted to talk about in the video. Joe didn't want to tell people, the secret about the Suzuki way it's running, because he thinks that the whole world is going to learn and everybody's going to go after a Suzuki Samurai to try to do the same thing. For some reason, I think that a lot of these things are not, they just cannot be made. They cannot be replicated. And governments really don't have to worry because, if you let out a secret, look, I only have like 50 subscribers at the time. And most of you guys are, I'll just pay for the fuel. I don't want to, I got other things to do. And you're not going to go in, some of you may, you may go and experiment. Maybe you watch the video and it just gives you the inspiration that there's something out there, guys. You go look into stuff like Terence McKenna, and not that he was right about a lot of stuff. I don't agree with a lot of the things that he said, especially with religion and so forth. He was kind of like anti-Christian, and raised in a Catholic home, I think, and he was against religion, and he thought that all religion is this. Anyways, that's another thing for another day. But it's all kind of the same because it's not here. It's not here. It's kind of like in the next area. I don't want to say dimension because it's not it's just another area, and these things bleed through once in a while, and if we don't pay attention to them, they're there all the time telling us stuff. Look outside, and if we don't pay attention and just go after the buck, every day of our lives, and then in the weekend we're drinking and whatever it is that we do for fun, we're gonna miss the boat, and you wanna get on the boat to learn these things because they're wonderful, and it lets you know that these things are wonderful, that this world is not just, there's a lot more besides it. There's a lot more, and we haven't even touched on, and politicians, governments, all these corporations, corporate people, they're just stuck in the world, stuck in this thing, without being able to get out, basically. But that's besides the point that I wanted to make. The Suzuki, getting back to the Suzuki, we have to remember that the fellow, I don't know if I talked about this before. I might have, but sorry if I'm touching subject again. The guy had okay. Basically, the story goes that this guy brings in, I don't know, I forget his name. Brings in a Suzuki. He wanted money, by the way, because of what he thought that he had. Anyways, brings in the car to Joe. Joe looks at it, and he couldn't shut it off. Hey Joe, I can't shut the car down unless I go and disconnect a wire or something, and it's annoying to, every time that you shut off the engine, you gotta go in the. You want to shut off the engine, you gotta go in the what's it called, bonnet, the hood, to pull the wire to stop the engine. What he did was, a lot of people don't realize, Joe talks about these backfields. You have a field, and then you have a backfield, and all this affects the ignition of fuel. You got to have the right spark, the right frequency of spark, in order to light that fuel. You can spark it with other stuff, and it's not going to light. It's got to be the right mixture that's going to light that fuel at a certain time. So we're not looking at lighting fuel, but in this case, it's the Suzuki that uses fuel. And what I'm getting at is that he was. Engines are set up with a certain fields. energy goes from the alternator, which is AC, goes into the battery, which is DC, back into the distributor or whatever it is that they use these days. Back into DC, back into AC. The AC goes into the spark plugs. The AC is converted into, it goes through AC, DC a bunch of times until finally you get a spark. And if you change that, you're not going to get the engine running. Everything's got to be right. If you have a broken cable to your, distributor, if you have a bad cable, the engine's going to shut off and shut off, shut on, go on, or just completely shut down. You can have a broken cable, but if they're together, you can get the engine running. But eventually it's going to, you hit a bump and the engine's going to die because just a tiny little bit of a fraction of an inch of cable that's disconnected, the whole system is going to fail. So you got to have every component working properly at a certain, basically, frequency. And that's what Joe talks about. And in this case, with the Suzuki, the guy had installed an electric fuel pump. And that's where people don't, anybody who experiments with this, that's basically, I think, the secret. Joe never talked about it, but, I am. And it's not going to, I'm not going to bring down the world with it. I'm not going to. One guy is probably going to go and experiment and say, hey, yeah, I got the car running that way. Most likely not. There's so few people that were able to perhaps have an actual working Joe cell that worked 100%. Peter Stevens, I don't think he ever, he was out there in the desert in Phoenix with some guy, and he could get the guy's diesel to give him better mileage. He had a big truck and whatever, and he only got with the cell, he got better mileage. I think 30 miles to the gallon or something like that, which is great for as far as fuel savings. But he didn't have a full running because I don't think Peter understood the whole concept of what Joe did. And I know I talked about this before. So the Suzuki had a field. It set up some kind of a field. You had a circuit to the whole engine, and it's going to affect it. It's gonna do something that you don't expect. I talked about my sister's car. I think the same thing happened. They go, the car works better without the fuel pump. Maybe we just leave the fuel pump disconnected, and I think that's what happened. And the car ran. Like I say, I didn't have to I just barely had to touch the accelerator, and it would just go. At the time, I didn't think about it because I wasn't paying attention, and I wasn't into these things yet. A few years later, then I started thinking about these things, and it's like, yeah, that's probably what she had with all those crystals that she put around the car, little crystals. So that's the thing about the Suzuki. Basically, that's I don't want to say secret, but I think that's what happened with that. What would I have done? Just put a switch between. Shut off the car. Just put a switch between the cable going into the distributor, the DC, and shut it off that way, and shut it off. And the guy was probably didn't have to put any fuel in that car, but he wanted it back the way it was, so he wouldn't have to open up the hood and shut off the engine every time he shut it down. So I don't know what happened to I like to know more about that story, but I think that's what happened. So anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about. Basically, that's the Suzuki and some other stuff that like I say, I think the cell itself is kind of like it's kind of like an energy tower, so to speak. What was that? Tesla. Waldorf. The name. What is it? Wardenclyffe Tower. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's called the Wardenclyffe Tower. Gosh. How could I forget? So anyways, you got this tower, and Tesla built. He probably tested it and was able to transmit power by air to the world. But, the banksters didn't like that. So, and, they were hell-bent on taking over the world, and they have, the bankers own it all, basically, What can I say? Elect me president, and I'll put all those guys in behind bars, guys. Get rid of banks once and for all. They're all a bunch of thieves, and they've created a big mess. Yeah, they would get the death penalty from me. I'll pull the switch too. Someday they'll pay. So that's pretty much it. Let's see. Probably the next video I'll show you my Joe Cell. I'm not saying that it's a working cell, because I don't know. But some strange stuff has happened. Like I told you about the the streets around around the neighborhood. When I used to play with this stuff, they started collapsing, and all we got all new utilities all down. The sewers are new, relined. All the gas lines, all the piping, the water lines. What else? The electric lines, they're probably new. They start leaking. So with that said, I built about, I don't know, altogether about 7 of them, and the last one is the one that's it has more of the Joe. I'm still looking for what is it? A 5-inch? The outer pipe. I'm still looking for an extruded one. I can't find anything, so I think that's what I need. But you can't find stuff. He went to a scrapyard and put all this together. And like I say, in my other video, the milk, perhaps that was being pumped through the stainless steel, the 316L. 316L? I think it's 316. Not the 304, but 316L stainless steel, extruded stainless steel. Probably picked up a frequency, after so many years. Like I say, the stuff, if it has so many years, that all the molecules, not the magnetism, but the way the each molecule is facing the magnetism, basically, they become aligned, and that comes with time, and that's why I say an older engine is probably a better bet if you experiment with this stuff. I do have some ideas about that desert. Maybe I'll make some. Maybe we'll try something out. This fellow sent me a message that he wanted to do that. If you're out there, leave a description where you're at, nearby. Maybe we can work on something. I have some ideas, but I don't know if they'll work or not. Okay, guys, that's all for now. Next time I'll try to show that Joe Cell, because it's really, really interesting, and I don't want to say it's technology, because it's more like, to me, it's more like magic than technology. So, like into both, but I don't believe in technology as much. I believe in these weird things that nobody will bring me on a TV studio to talk about them, because they're off. They're off, really off. Okay, guys, take care. Have a good day, and thanks for coming to the channel and all that.